shows
Do
up.
we feel especially kvetchy today?
Yes and no. It depends what we wanna talk about. I think we should primarily focus on local things, don't wanna really touch on world issues because Jesus Christ, we'd never end. It would never fucking end.
No, there's no lack of things to talk about. Although, one thing I do wanna mention world because I haven't seen it in well, also, if you're listening, thank you for listening, and welcome to the Wednesday Kvetch. I guess we're supposed to do that at the beginning of the fucking podcast each time, so I'm a
Sure,
professional.
sure.
Um, the one world event I do wanna mention is that apparently after the Viktor Orban ouster, the EU is suing Hungary or rejecting their EU membership over their, LGBTQIA plus stances. So the fact that they came up with a bunch of anti-LGBTQ policies over the last several years, especially got accelerated it recently under Orban. The EU says, "No, you're violating our EU agreement, and this puts you in jeopardy." And that is a fucking positive. So anyway,
Well,
that's the only thing
yes.
I want to mention. And I only saw it in a single article. When I went to click on it, it just disappeared from my scroll, and I'd actually searched to find it again. So it's like, yeah, let's not talk about these things, mainstream media, because y'all are fucking wusses.
No, I know. I just pulled it up. BBC and The Guardian have an article, and basically the ruling says that the law restricting content for minors and banning some displays of homosexuality or gender reassignment violates the EU equality and human dignity standards. So that is huge. That is
That
great. I
is
mean,
it's a big deal. It's a total rejection of this illiberal, fake Christian dominionism philosophy movement that everybody, we talked about last on the Kvetch, JD Vance going around and killing everything he touches. Well, he killed Orban's presidency. So now, because of that, queer trans rights are back in the forefront of EU policy. So
mhm.
thank you, JD Vance, for fucking everything up for your fascist whatever. Okay, enough global. We said no global.
No, like I said, we'd be here all day.
Should we start with city council or should we start with the mayor's budget? What do you want to do first?
We should start with last week's city council.
Okay, we'll go in order.
Yes.
Lots happened in city council last week. The Portland Committee on Community Engaged Policing was codified into city code, which I'm super excited about. It was a unanimous vote. It was a little weird, but we don't even need to talk about that. Just
Oh, but I want to.
no, 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 no. Let's not spend a lot of time on that. I actually have a hard stop at 10 anyway, so we can't
Okay.
rant too much. But,
That
it
was
was
confusing, though, you have to admit.
it was abs it was
There were some
very
moments where it's like, "Is this not gonna happen?"
it was very odd. I don't have a good explanation as to why it became odd, but no matter, we made it through to the other side, and we're now codified, and we were codified on the 17th, and the 17th was the day that I believe Judge Simon was going to decide whether he was fully severing from the settlement agreement or not. So,
Mhm.
all wonky shit. But what it means for Portland is now that we're codified, we have a commitment from the city to keep moving forward with the work the committee does. And the counselors are also more engaged and will be able to, hopefully, along with our dedicated community engagement person, really bring more community into the conversation so that we can have actual input from many, many different aspects of Portland on policing, public safety, and the outcomes that they really want to see. So
Mhm.
the other thing that got really weird in the last week was over the
Spring
East
budget.
Side housing ordinance and housing dollars and
Inner East Side for All, which
right,
also
thank you.
passed.
Yes,
But
did
the s
pass.
but the spring budget, of course, became a battle, and it has been for a while because the Portland Housing Bureau money is still in play. It's very convoluted. At the end of the day, most of us got everything we had hoped for in terms of helping folks who are facing being burdened by rent and everything else. But it did not happen without some gigantic accusations being lobbed back and forth among council members. One of them being Loretta Smith saying that Candace Avalos does not want to work on behalf of the Black community, which was like, that is an outrageous statement. How dare you say that?
Yeah, I mean, systemic racism built into our system is definitely a reality, and being reminded of that is a good thing to keep doing, right? But pretty sure Candace had absolutely nothing to do with the last 150 years of building the system that she has tirelessly worked to change in the 10 some odd years that I've known her. And she's had major wins for both the nonprofit work that she did previously, being instrumental in charter reform, which gave the actual ability for Councillor Smith and everybody else to be on city council, and on the CBPA, which did not turn out the way I'm sure she envisioned it. But she's been in the middle of all of these things the entire time. And the one point I really want to make is when I listen to Counselor Smith talk about her concerns, they're generally valid concerns, rooted in representing her constituency. And I appreciate that, right? I appreciate that she's willing to toe a line that maybe other folks aren't towing. But everything in a liberal democracy is a conversation and a compromise, and it doesn't always go exactly the way you want it to. And by making it personal each and every time and calling people out and suggesting that everybody but herself is supporting a systemic racist society and culture, devalues all her points. It makes it impossible to have a conversation that is reasonable when you're personally attacking other people on the dais. As a tactic, maybe it's great for certain segments of the voter population, but she's got 3 more years in this job. She doesn't have to be hyperbolic for votes, which isn't what I think she's doing, but it's not conducive for solving any of the problems. By attacking Candace, who's in the same district as her and fighting for the same constituents, I don't understand that at all. It's just kind of a bonkers thing to me.
Well, there's all that, but what I saw was that she's engaging in colorism.
Mm,
You know, Candace Avalos is Black and Latina.
yeah, Black
Loretta
Tina is the term she likes to use, yeah.
Loretta Smith is Black. So when she plays these performative theatrics on the dais, and I'm not saying that she does not bring up good, valid points, and I am glad that people are talking about race and racism a hell of a lot more, but to weaponize it the way she
Yeah,
does makes Candace Avalos become invisible, pits
yeah,
them against each other as which Black person do you trust more, or who's fighting for you harder,
um,
the Black Tina or the Black woman. That's fucked up. Does that mean that Candace is not Black enough? Kind of like how I'm never Asian enough or I'm the wrong Asian. And I've been told that here in this fucking city. And you know, folks don't see it, they don't know it, they don't understand it, but there's racism among Asian communities, there's racism among Latina communities, there's colorism in all communities.
yeah,
And it creeps out, and this is not the first time that Smith has done that to Avalos, and it's like, you know what? This
yeah.
has to be the last fucking time because they're both fighting for the same group of people. They're fighting for the same things. How they get there and what dirty tactics that Smith may be using to try and get people to sway to her side is not okay.
We've seen her attack other women non of color on the
Mhm.
dais as well, right? I don't understand it, and you bring up a really good point. It does kind of create a color dynamic or a demographic dynamic that erases the validity of other folks who have equally valid points to make, or even more so, because they're not making it about personality or background, right? it's really disheartening to hear also because I was in a room with a bunch of other people watching city council and seeing people's faces, especially people who are not white, just like, "Oh, wow, I really love that she's standing up for this and that."
Right.
Then to see it go personal, you can see the people's faces just change. Like, it's like, "Okay, you had a great point, and now you've changed the dynamic that it doesn't feel like it matters whatever point you had."
Mhm.
And now it's just I don't even know what to call it. I don't wanna use any terms that are gender specific, but it seems petty, like a petty thing to score points to move the needle somewhere. If that's the intent, that's a shitty way of trying to do a collaborative solutioning.
Yeah, and, there's always
And
some sort of dynamic buried underneath where it's like, SEI should get X amount of money, but Urban League, fuck them. And it's like, why is that? What's
yeah,
going
that
on?
yeah, I don't know enough, and I can't speak with any authority what the motivation is other than what becomes apparent, and that's not helpful either. If you're not taking an agnostic approach to organizations that actually do good work, then everything you do is gonna be suspect to begin with, and again,
Mhm.
that defeats what your goals are. Just it's very disheartening, and it gives a fake narrative of the folks that are on the right side of things as saying, see, democracy doesn't really work. We need to go back to five small despots and let them run the city the way it used to be. It really devalues the entire effort and change that we've made over the last year plus and all the years of work that went in behind it to throw stuff out there that devalues everybody's involvement in this. That's
Mhm.
not the word I want, but it's still early and I need more coffee. So we gotta stop doing morning fucking fetches.
I know, we'll figure it out. But
We will. That's
yeah,
my fault
I
this time.
I don't like when that's the dirty tactic to get either other
Yeah,
people on council to take her side or to stay silent and not add commentary. It
yeah,
ran over. Dunphy actually had to step in. Murillo tried to step in and just curtail it because it was getting out of control. It was
yeah.
starting to become personal attacks. It was going to head there very soon. And we've seen that before. And to a certain degree, it's like, you know what, let's get that on the table. But at the same time, it's like, you know what, every moment that is spent trying to get your way and not figuring out what's a decent compromise is a moment spent in which somebody who's facing eviction or somebody who's staying in some shitty overnight shelter has another day or gets to eat what a beef jerky stick for dinner.
Right,
It's like if you got your shit together faster and could get these decisions out and make them like actually stick and work, perhaps some of the
right.
people who are staying in Wilson's bullshit places could actually get housing, could actually get services. But well, and this now we can go into his budget. His budget is a fucking
30
joke.
37% less of shelter beds, so there'll be less beef jerkies to go around. I think it was 37. Hold on, I have it back here somewhere. The most concerning to me, shelter services,
Mhm.
total budget, 29% reduction from current service level on shelter services, which are not a solution. They're a stopgap, which is not even a good one, right? But some shelter services is required in the milieu of everything else. Mil the the spectrum of other services. Man, some English majors are gonna fucking check me on this one. 'Cause only English majors and people who are really fucking bored listen to this to begin with. I'll work on it later. I just kinda
That
uh,
word that word that means the thing.
yeah, that word that means the thing that I meant to say that I didn't come out of my mouth right, I don't think. Boys and girls and other folks out there, please medicate. Anyway, um, let's just cut all that out. Anyway, no,
Oh, no,
let's
we're keeping
keep
that
fuck, why do you do that?
because
Yeah,
it's
no,
funny.
it is funny. So, here's I didn't dig deep into the budget, other than the high level materials that came out, because it just came out yesterday. Haven't really had a chance to see all the different moving pieces of it. $171 million in cuts out of an $8.5 billion budget, which I think is up 500 million from last year. I don't understand that. I don't understand how we're in austerity mode for a fraction of the overall budget, especially after we just went through 4 months of, oh my God, there's an extra 112, $121 million in housing that was previously unknown to everybody, except for a handful of people who didn't want to make it public because it looked bad or whatever the argument was. I forget. There were multiple arguments. How are we back in austerity rather than saying, "Let's stay the course with everything we know we need to do because we need to
Mhm.
do it regardless, and while we go through this year, let's unpack each of these bureaus and figure out where the hidden money or the unaccounted for money all exists," and I made this same argument last year. Don't go into austerity on day one. You have an austerity plan as you get through your year and you're not realizing what you thought you were going to realize.
Mhm.
Because once you cut subject matter experts and internal knowledge, you don't ever get that fucking shit back.
No,
And the
no.
whole idea that you're going the connected last part of this rant, and then I'll let you rant. Changes to outreach. $1.4 million cutting street services coordination. Fucking no. You cut 10% of DCA budget to pay for it. You cut fucking executive salaries and you abandon your whatever bullshit other stuff is out there. But connected services is what we can afford least to fucking cut. You
Mhm.
you ask the police bureau to make their next, and this was last year or the year before, where they needed, I think, $19 million for updating their ammunition store, right? Ask them, do you really need to do that? What can you guys cut so that you guys aren't dealing with people with mental health and overdose in the street so that we can actually bolster the street outreach programs that we have? Because we have to fucking do that. There's no way you cut any of that. Cut the fucking shelter beds to do street outreach and connect them to getting them housed. I'm
Yeah.
angry.
I know, I know. No, the whole budget is a weird mess. I mean, even the fire department was like, "This is ridiculous," because it'll cut one truck and it'll cut down on hours on everybody. He's trying not to actually close a firehouse. And you know what? We need fire more than we need cops. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
In
And we
terms
need
of the
fire to be
cops.
putting out fires,
Right,
and, we have chat, but they come out for medical emergencies, right?
right.
And then both the reason that we have armed police and we have fire, going to calls that aren't aligned to what they should be doing creates not only lack of services when there is an actual fire or some sort of violent crime happening, but it also builds on that overtime budget, and the overtime
Mhm,
that they're billing out back to the city would solve all of our deficit problems plus some. So if
Mhm.
you just realign what people should be doing and fund the right things, you don't have to do austerity even without finding another $100 million in a 22-year-old couch sitting in the Portland building. That's not a great metaphor, but anyway.
well, I know most of this is for the general fund and things like that, but it's like, well, how can we promise money to the motor center when we are over 100 million in debt?
We
And
can't, and we shouldn't,
exactly.
and fuck that noise.
And why have we not discussed narrowing the retire rehire program for Portland Police so that some police officers are not bringing home over $300,000 a year
Yeah,
who are quote unquote retired? They're getting double salary.
yeah, they're
And
they're getting their
if we can
retirement
ever get
right.
Mark Porras on here, he can break this down way better than I can, but there is a lot of double dipping.
Yeah, I
So
I mean, there there
what are
there
we
are
doing?
practical solutions that will make certain people unhappy.
Mhm.
And okay, everybody gets to be unhappy, but you want to know who's already unhappy? People fucking living in the streets, dealing with impossible situations, and the folks that live around them that are concerned for them that are dealing with the fallout from all of that.
Mhm.
There's all these low end solutions that are out there that we're not doing anything with and doesn't cost a ton to keep them going. Yet you're going to cut shelter budget and outreach budget, but you're going to maintain overtime and try to invest in Moda Center because that'll change nothing. We also got an invite from, an organization that is fighting the Moda thing that I need to share with you, and we need to get them on because I think that would be a great thing to unpack too.
The other thing tied into Wilson's budget is also
Yeah.
on Friday, he did a State of the City address in the evening, which I did not want to watch because I really I don't need to have a stroke right now. Like I got plenty of years left in me. I would like to have those years. I don't need them to go away now. However, and he also was it was being hosted by Nick Kristof. Some people like Kristof, some people don't. I'm one of the ones who don't. I know he's not always a jerk, but he's a jerk. However, one of the things that came out was Wilson making up shit. Dude lied
Oh boy. Okay.
and spun things where he's like, homelessness is getting solved. My shelters are working, blah, blah, blah. Oregonian had an article saying that Anna Plum, who's the interim director of the Homeless Services Department, sent a text to Schuyler after a presentation earlier this year and said, nothing he is saying here is true.
Oh wow.
And he still spun that kind of shit at State of the City where he talks about unsheltered and he's saying believe your eyes, don't believe the stats, don't believe the county's actual data crunching they did. There's less homeless because you can't see because they're not downtown anymore because they're swept out. Tells me he doesn't give a fuck about the rest of Portland. He only gives a fuck about what it looks like. It was never about solving homelessness. It was never about helping people. It was never about preventing homelessness. It was about hiding it.
Yeah. It's super disappointing, and frankly, kind of reprehensible to have that stance because, it was pointed out to me that there's never been a mayor in Portland that's ever been more focused on homeless issues. And
Mm,
I think that's a true statement, right? The amount of time he spends talking about, the amount of resources he supposedly is assigning to it, yet the solutions are not viable solutions, and I think you're right. I think the whole relocation thing or whatever the sweeps got renamed to
Mhm.
was the same policy as we saw under Wheeler and Adams, of just let's move them out into the margins. Let's marginalize the marginalized people so that, it looks nicer for the land barons downtown because that's gonna revitalize things, right? Which, yeah, you go downtown, maybe you see a handful less homeless folks in the streets, right? Guess what? Storefronts are still empty and
Mhm.
businesses are still fleeing because the
Mhm.
rent's too damn high, and we're not doing a revitalization that is people centric rather than business centric. Moda is not going to do anything to revitalize anything except for line a few people's pockets. I hate being in a mindset of people that I know personally, and I've met the mayor a few times, and I work with his staff, and I like them as people, but to see the actual outcomes of things and hearing the narratives that are being put out there, it really just is disheartening because
Mhm.
we know better, it's just dishonest.
that's
It's
the
a
key word.
dishonest argument, and it's not gonna solve anything, and it's gonna come back around because there's real fucking data out there.
Mhm.
The PSU study, which was already repudiated by the right, blows all of the myths that have been circulated about we're doing better out of the fucking water. There and this is gonna continue. Reality is undeniable. So trying to spin something else to start a narrative that is fake is gonna bite you in the fucking ass. Just take it head on and say, "We need to do something different." We still don't have a director, for the Housing Bureau. How many months has it been since they, pushed,
Helmy.
Helmy out, right? There's still
Yeah.
no director, so who's leading that shit,
Oh,
right?
Michael Michael something. Michael
There's an
B. Yes.
interim, right?
And he's
But
been there before, and he's not terrible, but we still don't know how are they gonna revise themselves, revamp themselves to be more accountable? How will they account for money like this? Some of it was allocated towards things that's not being spent, and then how are we gonna make sure those programs that are supposed to be benefiting from these, do they have their shit together to take the
right.
money and make change? Or is everything just gonna sit in these holding cells, which is what a lot of that was, where it's like, "Well, this program's fucked, so we'll just hang on to
Yeah.
this millions." And it's like, "Fix the fucking program."
Yeah, yeah, just take it head on. Civic Life is gonna take some cuts, and I even forgot that that existed as a bureau, um, because, it used to be, Office of Neighborhood Involvement, which was a city-county joint effort to work across the neighborhood associations to problem solve issues, and
Mhm.
then it changed under a previous, boss of mine into something in Civic Life, which was redundant, so I only remember Civic, and what have they even been doing? Because we don't fucking know, but they're cutting the budget of that as well, and that feels like if you want to problem solve, you can bake Civic Life across the fucking counselors, because that's what they do. Take the existing staff and rather than cutting it, add them to the districts
Mhm.
because that's what the whole charter reform is supposed to do. You can cut out an entire bureau by baking it into support for the different counselor staff, and that would probably save a ton of money as well, and be far more effective than having a lost child of a bureau running around out there saying, "Can we please have some direction?" So
I know. Also, this weekend, just to wrap it up because we I know you have to go in a minute. I
yeah.
ran into somebody, so I've been motorcycle shopping since my other one got ran over. Whoever that asshole is, I hope something happens to you. I won't
Yes.
say what I hope right now. But ran into somebody who actually who has made contact with Angela Todd from PDX Real,
Ah, right.
and thought that Angela Todd was an upright citizen. So I had to discuss what I know about Angela Todd, her threats towards me, her racist thing where her husband wanted to send me back where I came from. And it's not New York. So take that for what it's worth. And I had to talk about the fact that Jeff Church was engaged in trying to obtain child pornography, was on the run across in Burma or Laos, I can't remember exactly, and got extradited back, was in federal prison, and it's like, how are these people still allowed to have a voice?
Well, I mean, PDX Real is I mean, it's free speech, Cat. You can't stifle free speech. Like, if although, The Onion officially bought InfoWars,
I know it took a while to seal the deal. That's going to be amazing.
their immediate articles, one of them was, like, "Learn how to levitate," or
Hmm.
"Learn how to float." But anyway,
Can we do something like that here?
there are a couple parody local sites that I haven't found very funny, but we absolutely could. We can do the Orange Gonian and, just make it full on MAGA, just embrace the MAGA, although I not every all their news anyway. The death to capitalism op-ed is still front of mind that somehow that's a real thing. So the Orange Gonian, no, that's not I don't like it. But I don't understand how I have a fucking podcast. We have a fucking podcast. We
Hmm.
have few hundred people who listen on a regular basis. Thank you, people who listen on a regular basis, and for the majority of the compliments that we get. If people in leadership and power are promoting these people or taking them seriously, who are doing really garbage things out there, then that makes you suspect as well, and you're going to get called out on that fucking shit.
Like Dan
And you
Ryan
deserve to be.
hiring what's his face.
but fired the next day. Let's give Dan some credit that he's like, oh, no, this is a bad person. Okay, great. Why didn't you guys do the background check ahead of time or listen to the actual podcast and learn that he's probably against all the things you're for, even if you're right of center?
Not even just listen to the podcast. Dan was on the fucking podcast, and so was Zimmerman. You all know what it stands for. We all know Dan Ryan and Zimmerman would never come on ours.
Dan might. Eric probably wouldn't. But let's invite them. Let's cut that out.
If you invite them, I'm going home. I'm going to pack up my laptop.
I'm kidding about the inviting them. You can cut that part out, but you can keep the whole. They'll never come on our podcast. So Dan would. Dan and I are friends. Okay, I'm gonna have to go in 2 minutes. So
All right,
anyway, so look, thank you for the early morning fetch.
I will say to anyone who listens to our bullshit, some of it is recorded at like 9 a.m. Some of it's recorded at 7 p.m. Either which way, if you're gonna listen to us in the morning, why don't you buy a mug and then send us a picture and tell us which one of us you wanted to shut the fuck up. Look who does marketing. It's not you. It's me.
It's not me.
Buy a mug. I want to know if you want me to shut the fuck up more than Kip. Let's make this a competition, gang.
God damn it! Where are the mugs? Anyway,
oh, see, he doesn't even have the mugs. Never mind.
I don't have a mug to show. What the hell? Yeah, thanks for marketing. T-shirts, mugs, coasters. If you really want, we can do hoodies and halter tops and booty shorts. We don't care. You don't. You want some Progress Portland logo on your rear end?
No, I don't want to talk about butts anymore. You didn't want to talk about butts last week. We're not going to talk about butts this week.
No, I kind of want to talk about butts.
Oh my God.
All right.
Go do your job.
Thanks, Kat.
Progress Portland is also on Facebook and Instagram. And we have event listings and updates on our website, progressportland.org. There's a content form on our website if you'd like to help out or have questions or comments. Our theme music is by the Portland band